Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Abhi from Migration Centre of Australia. If you're planning to migrate to Australia and you're confused about the different skilled visa options, or what we call the General Skilled Migration Program, this covers subclass 189, 190 and 491, then this is the video that's going to explain it clearly for you. These are three different types of visas where the government can issue invitations to invite you for permanent residency, which is the subclass 189 or the 190, or the 491, which is technically a temporary visa, but it's provisional. It means it gives you a lot of the same rights as it would if you were permanent, but leads to permanent residency if you meet the requirements. So let's get started. First one is the 189, permanent visa invited by the federal government of Australia. So there's a specific list of occupations that you can be invited from. This is called the medium and long-term strategic skill list. You need to submit an expression of interest. To do that, you need to have a positive skills assessment and your English test done. Then once you're granted the visa, you can live and work in Australia, but you have to be invited and then you apply for the visa. That is when you're actually granted the bridging visa, which may allow you to stay in Australia while your visa application is processing. But once it's granted, you are a permanent resident. This visa is best for people with strong qualifications, high points in that specific occupation, so you can get a consultation from a professional or try and research the data yourself and see how you compete with everyone else for your particular occupation. Now, make sure that you sit in the top because the people at the top are more likely to be invited. Next, we have the subclass 190, the skilled nominated visa, which is a government invitation by the state government, not the federal government. This is also a permanent visa, but you have to meet the state's criteria as well as meeting the criteria for the visa itself. So each state has its own occupation list and criteria. Some go even down to you need to be a graduate of the state to get invited, or they might have multiple lists depending on if you're a graduate from that state, a resident of that state, or based in a different state, whether you're allowed to get an invitation or offshore. But if you're applying for the 190, it actually gives you an extra 5 points as well. The process is very similar to the 189. You have to have your skills assessment, your English test to submit an expression of interest. But when you submit an expression of interest, you actually select the types of visas you're interested in as well. And depending on the state, we sometimes recommend lodging a separate expression of interest for different states. And the last thing to know is that some states also require you to lodge a separate application for a registration of interest. This visa is ideal for people who are open to living in a specific state and have a bit of a fewer points as compared to the 189 competition, but make sure that you still look at the competition and how you compete against that. Very similar to the 189. But the 190 may have additional occupations from the short-term list that may help you be eligible. If you're in an occupation that is not on the medium to long-term list, then it might be more beneficial to look at the different states and where you would be eligible. Now, let's talk about the 491 again, which is the skilled work regional visa. As I mentioned, this is a provisional visa and not a permanent one, but it is a pathway to permanent residency. To apply, similarly, you need to lodge an expression of interest. Make sure you have your skills assessment and your English test results for that. But then for the 491, you're also invited by the state. But this visa only allows you to live and work in a regional area for the state that invites you. Alternatively, you can also be sponsored by a eligible relative. So there's specific types of relatives that are allowed to sponsor you, but they must also be living in a designated regional area. This visa is valid for 5 years, and after 3 years, you can apply for permanent residency if you meet the criteria. So the biggest advantage of the 491 is that you actually get 15 additional points as compared to the 189 towards your expression of interest. Whereas for the 190, you only get 5 extra points, and with the 189, you don't get any extra points. So it might help you score better, but also look at what the competition again looks like for your occupation for the 491 visa. Now, this is better for people who have a lower points. There's also additional occupations that may be eligible for the 491. even versus the 190, but you must be able to move or continue living in a regional area and work there. So make sure that you are able to find related work in that regional area as well. So which visa is right for you? If you have a high score and your occupation's on the medium to long-term list, then probably the 189. But you can also lodge for the 190 as well, and for the 491 if you're interested in that. If you're based interstate and applying for different states, make sure you are eligible and meet the criteria. Some states are not open to inviting from other states unless you are living there and are a resident within that state. Some states are open to applying from offshore, but not from interstate. So make sure you understand all of that and check the criteria for each separate state when applying. And if you're flexible with your location and you think you can live and work in a regional area, the highest chance of an invitation will be for the 491, as the government looks to support the regional communities of Australia. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and it provided some information into the general skilled migration programs. If you have any questions, leave a comment below or message us to book a consultation.